doubles and coffee. I tell all you, I would not let the press, I would not let it slide. Look at the newspapers today. Look at this. Blues for Barry. Express and Guardian, Guardian and Express. Blues for Barry. So I want to know what blues Barry get from Marvin, Marvelous Marva. Marvelous Marva, the worst Minister of Public Utilities in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, who took us down to the lowest ever 24/7 supply to 12% of the population getting 24/7 supply in our houses.
When we left office in 2015, Trinidad and Tobago had a 24/7 supply of water. 74% of the country had a 24/7 supply of water. At a Joint Select Committee in February of 2023, WASA admitted to that Joint Select Committee that at that time, Trinidad and Tobago was receiving a 24/7 supply of water, with only 16% of the country receiving that supply. So in 2015, we moved from 74% under then the Kamla Prasad-Bissessa administration during that period, and then they took us 2025 to where we are prior to last month, April, where we started the work. When we came in, it was roughly around 20-25%. We have taken immediate steps to attempt to ensure that water production and water distribution levels have increased.
So when they boast that under their tenure in 2010 to 2015, that they accomplished 74% of the population getting 24/7 level of service, I can tell you it is a monstrous lie. There is no evidence whatsoever in the Water and Sewage Authority which suggests that the UNC accomplished 74% to 74% of the population 24/7 supply of water. Nothing is further from the truth. It is an absolute lie, and they keep repeating it, hoping that you will accept it as fact one day. But I can tell you, there was never in Trinidad and Tobago, under any government, 74% of the population getting 24/7 level of service. But I can tell you that in 2020, when we started these projects, only 31% of the population received a 24/7 level of service. And because of the successful implementation of these capital projects that I've told you, well documented in these publications, we moved the level of service, 24/7 level of service, from 31% to 61%, ladies and gentlemen, to 61%. It never happened in this country, in the history of this country. And again, she talked about that under the PNM, Barry Padarath also said it, and he mentioned it over and over again, that it was only 16%. That error was made by a simple statement by an executive of WASA appearing before a Joint Select Committee. And when the error was made, it was only pointing to 1 month when there was a lot of disruption in the system. And immediately after that Joint Select Committee hearing, WASA issued a statement correcting this particular matter and said that the executive who made the statement, his intention was never to say that 16% of the population received a 24/7 level of service, and that was corrected the day after. Yesterday, I heard the Honorable Prime Minister and the Minister of Public Utilities saying that under the PNM, only 16% of the population received a 24/7 level of service. Nothing is further from the truth. They are all diabolical liars who intend to lie to the population every day, to condition our minds to believe their lies and their untruths and their fabrication.
A man whose prime minister said he found someone who knew nothing about WASA to put him in charge of WASA. A minister who oversaw billions of gallons of water being lost through leaks for a sustained period, not even fixing the infrastructure. We would see down in Diego Martin 1 leak having to be plugged and fixed over 5 times. Marvelous Marvin, who wasted more money at WASA than any other minister in history, while providing the worst supply to Trinidad and Tobago.
By the end of 2024, going into 2025, we published a document that showed the successful completion of over 200 capital projects all over Trinidad and Tobago that resulted in an improvement in the supply of water to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Over 51 projects under the public sector investment program was successfully implemented.
If the Salcott, the desalination plant of Trinidad and Tobago, had to go down for maintenance, the entire country from Chaguanas go down to Point 14 would be suffering for water. There were protests for water all over this country over the last 5.5 years under Marvelous Marva. And Marvelous Marva comes out to call a press conference to try to defend a PNM transformation plan. He says absolutely nothing. The plan was going to remove over 2,000 WASA workers lose their jobs because of PNM mismanagement, corruption and wastage. The plan was ripped up by Kamla Persad-Bissessar.
The government got access to $400 million. The then government, the UNC government, got access to $400 million, engaged in a visa program which was a massive fraud. A massive visa fraud led by the government of Kamla Persad-Bissessar, where 900 employees participated in this visa program. And by 2015, as opposed to having a staff reduction by 900, by 2015, the staff complement returned to 5,000 employees. 5,000 employees. And the plan to reduce the workforce by the authority by 2,500, as they promised the IDB, never materialized. Never materialized. But it is documented evidence that the plan by the UNC was to reduce the staff by 2,500 employees. You compare that with the plan by the PNM government, which identified the issue as that of management and indicated in our plans that we will truncate and or reduce the management of WASA by about 40 to 50%. And it is this new management structure approved by cabinet with salaries approved by the CPU that will result in cost savings of $43 million annually. It is that new executive leadership that will be responsible for the transformation of the organization where it is needed. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the conduct of the Honorable Prime Minister and her Minister of Public Utilities yesterday, you have to ask yourself whether they are aware of their past conduct or they believe that the people of Trinidad and Tobago are so foolish and they are so gullible that we will not remember the dark days of when they led the country between 2010 and 2015, where they went into the Water and Sewage Authority and there was corruption after corruption, mismanagement after mismanagement, VSEP fraud after VSEP fraud. And these are the people today that will come before you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, to rip apart a transformation plan that was put together not only by a team of cabinet ministers, that was put together and supported by people within the authority.
Big top-heavy jobs and positions that were created for people who were unqualified and were PNM people inside and outside all around WASA. Barry Padarath brought cabinet note to remove those positions, to save people's jobs, to make WASA more efficient, to return.
Mr. Barry Padarath, MP for Princestown. Mrs. Lisa Morris-Julian, deceased, the then MP for W. O'Meara. Mr. Simon Dino Brigger, the MP for Diego Martin Central. Mrs. Renuka Sagram Singh Suklail, who was a senator, government senator, Mr. Anil Roberts, a senator in the opposition, and Mr. Yunus Ibrahim, a senator, government senator. And these senators and members of parliament interrogated the recommendations of this report. What did they do? After looking at the report and its recommendation for the transformation of WASA, the findings of that Joint Select Committee said that WASA's restructuring transformation plan has been approved. It has noted that it has been approved by Cabinet, and it made further recommendation. This is what the committee, this Joint Select Committee, recommended. We recommend that the restructuring and or the transformation plan for WASA be forwarded to the committee for its consideration before its implementation. This is one of the major recommendations of that Joint Select Committee, which comprised of none other than Mr. Barry Padarath, as he was then a member of Parliament for Princestown, who is now the Minister of Public Utilities and who witnessed a charade yesterday, a party's show at the post-cabinet news conference where the report that was laid and the transformation plan that was published for all and sundry to see. This Joint Select Committee that he was a member of recommended the implementation of this transformation plan.
WASA to its highs of 2014 to begin that transformation away from PNM, where 74% of the population under Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Ganga Singh were getting 24/7 supply, 74%. So marvelous, call a press conference. The PNM don't even know who is the opposition leader. One day is Penny, next thing is Stuart Young, next thing Faris calling press conference. Now marvelous. So I went to read, what is he trying to say? Marvelous said nothing. He said Barry lie, Barry's a wajank, Barry's all kind of thing, and could not make one claim to try to defend his PNM transformation plan. He said that Barry Padarath was part of a Joint Select Committee that oversaw, went through the transformation plan. What do I have to do with anything? A Joint Select Committee of the Parliament is weighted heavily in favor of the PNM government. If the committee is 7, there will be 4 PNM, 2 opposition, and 1 independent. That and nothing is the same thing. He could not defend his plan. He could not defend his action. He said that Barry was trying to reverse the gains made by the PNM at WASA. What gains? The only thing that increased and improved or got bigger under Marvelous at WASA is dry tap. It's trucks working. It was fraudulent people trying to sell and take advantage of citizens to sell water. That's what went up. The sacrifice that people had to make to try and get water in their houses. People suffering. WASA was at its worst under Marvelous Marva. He come out to say absolutely nothing. And then here we get it from The Guardian. Look at this. Blows for Barry. First of all, look at Barry's picture. Barry is the Minister of Public Utilities. Marvelous Marva is a member of the PNM that was just decimated in an election. But The Guardian puts a big, powerful picture of Marvelous Marvin, the failure, and puts the minister under Kamla in a little baby picture to give you the impression that something powerful about the PNM. And blows for Barry. What blows? Barry took decisions with Kamla to save WASA workers' jobs, to save WASA from the incompetence and corruption of the PNM, the nepotism of the PNM. Barry put blows on PNM WASA to save and help people's jobs and lives and families and to provide service for the people. So the media, Guardian, is saying that Barry get blows. But the problem is that Barry gave blows for the people. Barry battered the PNM. Barry shut down and shutting down the corruption and nepotism of the PNM. Barry is beginning the transformation of WASA back to serving the people, to produce water, to save money and to get value for money. Look at now the Express. Blows for Barry. Me, I know if they're sharing headlines or they're just in the same mindset. What abject nonsense. And a picture of Marvelous Marvin, not the minister. So I say this to let you all know. Not this time. This ain't happening. These papers will not get into your mind and affect your mind share. The fact of the matter is that the Honorable Minister Barry Padarath and Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her cabinet of the UNC have taken a decision, the first one of many to come, to improve your lives, to provide you with water, to make you forget the nightmare of Marvelous Marvin Gonzalez, the biggest failure in WASA history, in public utilities history, who did not know. He went in to be the Minister of Public Utilities, and he did not know that leaks cause people in the hills not to get water, because leaks break pressure, and therefore the water cannot go up the hill. He had to go into WASA to learn that big dunce called Marvelous Marvin. But also on top of that, Marvin, I thought you was the Minister of National Security when you get a licking on April 28, 2025. So ladies and gentlemen, this is what I tell you. Ignore these pieces of PNM propaganda. Barry Padarath did not get blows. Barry Padarath shattered Marvin Gonzalez, Marvelous Marva, and the PNM's separation plan for WASA. They attack on workers. They attack on people. They attack on propriety, morality, ethics, and value for money. Barry blew out the PNM. That is the truth. Not Barry get blows from a man who called a press conference, had nothing to say, and say Barry's a wajang. Leave Barry, leave the UNC. We walk in. The people have dealt with you, PNM. Go and study who is all your leader of the opposition. Go and study who go win all your election. Because you all will never win an election again. Because I will stop these lies of these media, this mass media, PNM fake media. Day by day, it's doubles and coffee. The Trini way. Bless.
$43 million annually. And that is what was ripped up yesterday by the Honorable Prime Minister. And she lied and gave the impression that by cancelling this transformation plan, by revoking the appointment and the cancellation of these contractual employment contracts that we entered into with executive management, will somehow save the authority $30 million. Then who is going to lead the authority? That's the question. Who is going to lead the authority? Because if you are reverting, as they said, to the old leadership or management structure, which was never approved by cabinet, with salaries that were never approved by the CPU, if you are reverting to that, then you are increasing the cost of the management of the authority. You are increasing the cost, contrary to what we were planning to do at the PNM government, which was to reduce costs by $43 million. Of these projects successfully completed in record time, no cost overruns, no allegations of corruption. You compare that to what transpired in 2010 and 2015, I have to say that the UNC under Kamala Persad-Bissessar has no moral authority to speak on any issue in the water sector. And what they have done yesterday